Hello, Internet. Johnny DL here. I'm recording this possibly a week before, no, certainly a few days before I put out my um, very controversial views on feminism and minority movements. Um, and I'm anticipating at least a little bit of negative reaction to it, let's say. And I don't think I'll be disappointed at all if it gets to be um, big politically, or just get discussed at all. Um, but I wanted to flip it round and talk about um, majority movements and what I imagine the solution to not having a lot of minority movements and not having um, feminism or gay rights activists um, and their counter agents out in the world, and just having a majority movement where everybody's wanting the same thing. Now, I said in that video, and this video is going out a week after that, probably, if not more. Um, I said in that video something about um, humans, on the whole, want the same sorts of things. We all want um, free access to food. We all want free access to water. We all want a roof over our heads. We all want a basic level of education, if not better. Um, we all want access to healthcare. We all want um, the right to vote. We all want freedom of speech. We all want um, well, the list goes on. Whether it's the right to marry, the right to live without persecution, and so on and so on and so on. A lot of people don't get some or any of their rights that are human rights, um, or at least I believe they should be basic human rights, um, and they should be basic human rights globally. And um, I'm going to talk about the Free People of Earth, which was a movement within um, the Shadow series that I've been reviewing. Um, I don't think I've got to this yet on the reviews, so this is going out a bit earlier than that. But the Free People of Earth was a movement ran by Peter Wiggin that the whole idea was to make sure that everybody had these basic human rights, and incontrovertibly so. And he set up um, a global government, so to speak, that said that um, we would hold up these rights, and if 50% of the population, that's not 50% of the voting population, that's not 50% of um, the people who voted, that's 50% of a nation as a whole, says we want part of it, um, those people would have the right to protection under the Free People of Earth, and they would have their basic human rights protected. And the only caveat, well, the only major caveat was to formally renounce the, the ability to wage war by giving your giving your armies, your soldiers, your navies, and your air force over to the Free People of Earth. The Free People of Earth have the the full control over military, and they predominantly use it to um, defend nations or provide aid rather than to wage war. And it's within the constitution of the free people of Earth that they can't declare war on somebody. They can only um, defend themselves, and they won't take over another nation. They won't conquer a nation, and but nations can choose to join them whenever they please, providing 50% of the population wants to join. And it's a brilliant movement. Um, Unfortunately, it wouldn't work in the real world because the situations that led up to the movement being formed um, couldn't happen in Earth on Earth as it is now, um, and just the people of Earth aren't scared enough about their own survival, which was a major part of the way the free people of Earth um, managed to resolve the issues between nations. There was the Bugger War, the war with the alien race that nearly wiped out humanity as a whole, and humanity had to unite against them. And there was a Shield who everybody um, got taken in by, and was very much a evil person and nearly destroyed the world. Um, and we, but the majority movement of we all want to be part of the free people of Earth um, could apply in some ways to political movements at the moment regarding rights. Um, so every man, woman, and child, every person, whether black or white or Asian or Latino or anything else, they all have the same rights to everything, whether they want to marry, whether they want to um, have free access to healthcare, whether they want food and water. Um, they should all have those things set out in law. And if it's not something that can be given to everyone because it's a religious matter and the state has no rights to make a judgment on religious matters, then the simple thing is then separate the church and the state. Um, I know a big one at the moment is, um, in that sense, is gay rights and whether um, homosexuals can marry each other. And the answer is, well, the piece of paper that says you are married in law and the piece of paper that says you're married in the eyes of God don't have to be the same piece of paper. You separate the two things out and you have the legal definition of marriage, and that can apply to every single person that has has the right to marry, and um, everybody who is legally a legally competent adult has the right to marry, um, and getting married in the eyes of God is something you may need to fill the same criteria, but they can I say persecute. They can um, being married in the eyes of God is part of your religion. If your religion doesn't support you, then it shouldn't be your religion, and you can move away from that religion and seek acceptance elsewhere. Um, and the right to religious freedom is another one. You can choose to be Christian, Jewish, or Islamic, and it wouldn't matter. And those are the monotheistic religions, but you could just as equally be Hindu or Sikh or Taoist or anything else, and you you wouldn't get persecuted for it. It would be um, a crime to um, and I think it is a crime to cause problems based on religion at the moment, but it's not a well defined one. Um, It's very easy for somebody who is um, Muslim to to accuse somebody who isn't of persecution because they're Muslim. It's very difficult for somebody who's Christian, say, to accuse an Islamic person of the same thing, and it's very fuzzily defined and not a well upheld law and not a well maintained law, in my opinion. And moving on, there are other rights that aren't fulfilled. Um, a right to education isn't universal, not just within Britain but within the world. Um, Within Britain, we have the problem of kids falling through the cracks. Um, they never enter school, or they um, are officially homeschooled and then not taught by their parents, or just completely neglected, and fall out of the system all too easily. And on a global scale, there are people that aren't even given access to the opportunity to learn in any situation, and that is a terrible thing to to put on someone in a world where you need a basic level of mathematics, your native language, and some science. You not having access to an education of any kind is devastating, um, and that needs solving to some degree. Um, there have been movements to help solve it. There's the Khan Academy, which I have done videos on that help with mathematics, but not everybody has access to the internet, so those aren't always solutions. Um, and it's not an easy place to live. Um, so yeah, that's education, and then you've got within the West, there's not free access to healthcare. Um, I have free un, free access, free at the point of use, and pretty much unlimited access to healthcare. Whether that's I need psychiatrists or a surgeon or a general practitioner or a counsellor or any medical profession, whether I need a diagnosis with an MRI or an ultrasound, I can get those things for free. And if I need to be in hospital for any amount of time, I can have that for free, um, at the point of use. And it's unlimited because it's a national scheme, it's a nationalised health service rather than being a health service that is very much you get what you pay for. Um, and if you don't pay, then you don't get anything, or what you do get is so substandard, it's sometimes not even worth having. And that's certainly the case in the American system, as far as I've seen. That if you have unlimited money, you can have access to the best surgeons in the world and the best diagnosticians and the best um, counsellors. But if you live in a trailer park, then you don't get access to anything, and that is wrong. Everybody is human, and it's a human thing to need repairing, not a wealthy thing to need repairing. Um, and I've heard about stories in um, various places where people just can't get access to food and water, even in first world countries like America, like Britain. There are people that are starving because of the way the system is set up. And if we all went, these things are unacceptable. Persecution because of gender, persecution because of religion, persecution because of colour, persecution because of sexuality, um, and making sure that everybody has the right to um, go go for the same things legally, whether that's we all have the same access to a minimum amount of food, we all have the same access to a minimum amount of um, gas and electricity and water, and um, all have the same access to having a roof over our head. And there may be a strain on society to fulfill these roles, but it's a strain that needs to happen if we're going to have a united people. We've got in Britain, certainly there is a very much a divide between the north and the south, and even within, well, that's just in England. Within Britain, we've got a division between Scotland and England that is currently on the verge of ending disastrously because Scotland and England don't appreciate how much being unified is important, and it happens between Britain and the EU because there are a number of people in Britain that think that getting out of the EU is important to have a national identity, but you can have a national identity whilst being part of the EU, and we can have a national identity without becoming um, a, um, a country full of bigoted people, and we can have a sense of unity as a whole with Europe without it being a problem for us. And having these basic, all these basic things, if we start applying them to ourselves and we go fix us first, we can start then fixing the rest of the world. If I really want somewhere to just go, we are going to do this, and we are going to decide to change the way the entire system works in one foul swoop so that it does work for everybody. Everybody does get their fair sort of ration or fair um, their fair allotment so that they all meet the minimum standard so that nobody at all is left in poverty. Um, then we can start going, this system works. And even if no matter what we do, this system will work. And this system has helped so many people. And you might not want to have your system like ours, but you can change your whole system and it end up not damaging the world and not damaging your economy if you change it all in one go and you make everybody understand it in one go. The Australians did it when they changed their currency. They taught people about decimal currency for a month before they switched over, and they switched over overnight, and it all worked like clockwork. And because they had taken the effort to make sure that everything worked and that everything changed at the same time, there was no problem with it. And we can do the same with other systems. Um, it would be expensive, but it would be worthwhile because if we fix these systems, it might take a little bit of money in the short run, but we save a lot of hassle. There are so many inefficient systems within so many areas of government and politics that if we unite and say this is what we want, this is what we need as a nation, this is what we deserve, we elected you, put it right like this, then maybe, just maybe, we can have equal rights and equal opportunities and equal um, access to everything that we need at the very basics, and we can start improving the whole society from there. So that's just a bit of what I think. Um, this rant has now gone on for 20 minutes, and I think I should stop. Um, I'm I do hope that some people listen to this and some people are inspired by it, and some people think that it's a great idea and we should unite rather than factionize. Um, so that's my hope for the future. We should be getting together and going, these are the basics, these are the things we have in common. Let's work towards this before we try and work towards the things that we argue about. Um, because when we get to the point where we've got everything that we all want at the same time, we can start looking at the rest and going, do we really need it? Um, and does it make our life better or worse having that in a situation where we have everything that is the basic level that we should have? Um, so yeah. Check out the links in the description. There's my Twitter, there's my Google Plus, there is my Ask FM. You can ask me absolutely anything you like, and you can do it anonymously. You don't have to sign up for the website. And there's also my email address, which is completely confidential between me and you. Um, so that's everything. Johnny DL out.